I bid you all good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. Closely watching the markets overseas. It is Monday afternoon in Japan. And Japan unexpectedly reports terrible GDP as it slides into recession. So could this be one of the very first countries that's actually announcing that, hey guys, guess what? I think we're in a recession, the big R word, that a lot of countries don't want to announce, or what a lot of countries fear of announcing, especially if you're on the throne and it's your rule of the country. You don't want to be known as the leader that pretty much brought the country to its knees economically and through many other sectors. One look at the latest GDP print out of Japan, and one would think the country's economy was already being ravaged by the C virus. At 1.6% quarter over quarter, negative 1.6% quarter over quarter, with a whopping negative 6.3% annualized, nearly double to 3.8% estimate drop. So they're estimating drops here. They're not estimating any growth, right? And remember, Japan is in a stagflation area right now. They're like stagflation because unemployment is going up, price of goods going up, and the price and nothing's really happening. So housing, or the bigger assets, you go to Japan, you can buy a one bedroom for $86,000 US for a decent one bedroom in Tokyo. A two bedroom, maybe $150,000 US. So there's a lot of things that like nobody's really they're looking at the Japanese economy and look at this and that, but they're still within range of living a normal life, I guess. Like they're still within range to live an American dream and have ownership and do their own thing and be kind of maybe financially independent if they play their cards right. But this was the second worst GDP print since the financial crisis and the second worst quarter of the Shinzo Abe era, surpassing even the drop in the aftermath of the Fukushima disaster. So, guys, it's not the Shinzo Abe that's the problem. He inherited a lot of these problems from previous administrations, right? So don't forget that, guys, okay? A lot of stuff is inherited over time, and then what do we do now? Just keep pumping money into the markets, and hopefully. But now it's getting to a point where there's no more. It's like it's gotten to a point where they're deflating their currency, and markets are still up. Surprisingly, where else do you see markets up with a deflating currency and weak job numbers and economic murky economic outlook? I don't want to mention those countries, but you know who it is. Of course, the latest plunge in Japan's GDP has nothing to do with the C virus, as it took place in Q4 and the drop. So we're looking at another quarter ahead with the CV taking place, eh? Drop was largely byproduct of a sale tax hike right there. Sale tax hike, basically less spending or less money to spend because things cost more when you pay more taxes, right? Which led to a similar collapse in Q2 of 2014. Remember that? GDP following the first such tax hike. Max Kaiser reported on this back in 2014. I remember that. And he basically forecasted the entire outlook of the Japanese, the stagnation, the zombie-like nation. Zombie nation. One look at the GDP components confirms that the plunge was largely a result of the collapsing consumption. Again, with household consumption plunging 11.5%. What's happening to the Canadian proper? What's happening to the Australia proper? What's happening to... They can't compete with all this foreign investing that a lot of these countries... But, you see, Japan, I don't think they'll tolerate too much foreign investing. So they're a little bit different with that on lockdown, that their country doesn't get sold out. It's a little bit different in Japan when buying property. I have a friend that owns property there, several properties, and they make sure, they're selling it to the right person, right? At 11.5%, so consumption plunging at 11.5% annualized pace. The second biggest drop in private demand plummeted at an 11.1 annualized basis. That's enormous. So here it is here, guys. You can see, let's look at this, Japan real GDP annualized consumption of households. So this is it. When people don't spend money or people lose faith in the markets or don't even keep money in their banks, you start to see things like this happen. And especially when people are buying food on credit, that makes it even worse. The second worst record, and also just behind the 18.1% drop record after the first sales tax hike in 2014. So in Canada and Ireland's doing this too. Ireland's been really hard on this, especially in Dublin. Dublin started seeing this weird phenomena back in 2017 when they started seeing bidding wars. They've never seen foreign investing in bidding wars. Properties got so high, a lot of foreign investors went there. They couldn't keep up. So Dublin is facing massive changes right now. They've raised taxes in 11 different sectors. They raised 11 different, I wouldn't say, public sector. So public sector, like buses and stuff in 11 different sectors in the public sector, whether it's parking on the street, whether it's tolls, whether it's this, whatever it's renewing your driver's license, whether it's this. Dublin has basically cranked everything basically through the roof, punishing the Irish proper. Canada, they just keep popping up the carbon tax. Where's my electricity bill, my gas bill? I paid $270 last month in carbon tax and two bills, electricity and gas for my house. Yeah, a carbon tax. It wasn't just households who retrenched. However, and the following breakdown of Japan's cabinet office reveals in Q4, Japan's capex fell for the first time in 3 quarters, dragged down by construction and production machinery. And if you guys don't know, Peter Schiff covered that a while back too. Finally, the economic misery was complete as a result of a second consecutive drop, exports led by cars. And we covered that on Mike in the Night. And especially with all the parts of the cars not showing up because of the CV thing that's going on. But this is in this quarter. We're talking about past quarters, okay? So what's going to happen with the CV now going forward in the quarters? In the next few quarters. That's what I'm very interested to look to see. As global automotive sector remains mirrored in a desperate recession since the financial crisis. So here it is here. Here's the growth. There's the GDP. There's the domestic. It's all broken down by household. And this is pretty grim. Look at this. You got domestic demand, okay, down. You got private demand down. You got, when was it good? It was at 0.4 back in 2018. You got positive, semi-positive numbers there, but then you go to it now. You got private non-resident investment, negative 10. Private residential investment, negative 10. Change of private inventories, no number. Less imports of goods and services, negative 10. So this is not good. So this is released February. Re-released 2020. So February. Sorry, released. I can't. This is all blurry here. This little number here is blurry, but it's just. I think it's a photograph or a scan of it. 2020 February 17. So that's tomorrow's date. So this is from the future. So that's that, guys. This is a big deal. Let's see if there's any finishing words here. And since Q1 GDP will likely be even worse due to the paralysis of the Chinese supply chain, which have knocked out a good part of Japanese domestic manufacturing indefinitely. Today's bleak GDP report means that the Japanese recession, defined as 2 quarters of negative GDP, is now just a matter of time. The unexpected plunge in Japan's GDP triggered the knee-jerk reaction of selling on the topics, which slid more than 1% in early trading, though bond yields and the yen showed little reaction to the worst nominal GDP performance since Prime Minister Shinzo Abe took office. U.S. futures were, of course, higher because the closer the world gets to depression, the more likely central bankers will start to buying, well, everything. And that's what it is. They start buying back and they try to deleverage by buying back or buying into securities and assets, but then they start losing a little bit of weakness on their dollar, and they start to hedge that against. But none of them are hedging it with Bitcoin or gold or anything, or hedging like China is doing that. China's been doing that for years, and so has Russia. So don't be surprised if these countries, China and Russia, find a way to get kind of weed through the crap and actually stand on top of everything when everything goes down. It's going down for real. Guys, it's Mike Martins here with the Mike Martins channel. Guys, don't forget to join the channel here. If you can, join the channel. Be part of the channel. We got Mike in the Night every Saturday night that we're live, and we're always chatting, and we have live call-ins. Last night's show, we got, I think, 5 or 6 call-ins, really good call-ins from all over the world, giving us an insight on what is happening. Guys, don't forget to shop. Buy a Mike in the Night. Pick up something nice. Really good. We got licensing for all this product here. Mike in the Night clothing. Really, really cool upbeat clothing here that we have in the store. And also, guys, just go ahead and message me on Facebook if you have an article or a link or something you would like to send to me. Please don't be shy. Let me know what you guys think about this GDP quarter over quarter here with Japan. It definitely isn't looking good. We know it hasn't been looking good. This ain't no surprise for anybody, but this zombification of Japan has put it into an interesting observation. An interesting thing to say, an observation of the times, I guess, when it comes to financial deceleration. And especially with the death rate being higher in Japan, it's and the whole Fuku thingy at the beginning of Buddy's term. Then you got all these other things that are happening with the CV virus. Comment below, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Lots of love. And remember, guys, it's easier to love than to hate. And the cure for curing fear is to love. Thanks for watching. Mike Martins here.